So basically, I'm feeling Russia needs to give us a wake-up call for the rest of Europe to like, guys, we are now a better Europe than you guys ever were. What are you guys doing? Of course, we have more history with Russia. Namibia would not be here if there was no Moscow. There would be no Namibia. I realized that for the world to change, for a multipolar world to arise from the stagnation, from the status quo we've been having since 1950s of America being basically the boss of most of the planet, for this to change, this is a catalyst. I saw the Ukrainian-Russia conflict as a catalyst. You can say some countries are not empathetic towards the Russian cause. In Namibia, we do not want the Russians to have that vibe. You can sit on a car here, go to a lodge, walk in the city, and you will have more friends than people looking at you like, yo, you're a Russian. So we want it to be a friendly Russian place. We want to make the systems and procedures friendly.
Zvezda Holding presents Dynamic Spectrum Talks now.
Hello, dear friends. This is Dynamic Spectrum Talks podcast, a space of meanings, dialogues, and discoveries. Here, together with outstanding speakers from all over the world, we explore the subtle, sometimes invisible connections between cultures, look for common ground, and pave the way for mutual understanding in an era of global change. We are talking about the main things that unite, not divide. I am Anna Shafran, and this is my colleague, Yuri Lendra.
Greetings, everyone.
Our today's guest is a political activist, a representative of the ruling SWAPO, Southwest Africa's People's Organization Party, a businessman and a great friend of Russia, Louis van der Merwe. He joined us via video link from sunny Namibia. We're glad to see Louis. Thank you for taking the time to become a part of our intercultural dialogue.
Thank you very much, Anna.
Louis, first of all, our traditional question we usually ask our esteemed guests and speakers is about their personal story, is about their personal life path. And obviously, we need to ask you, a person with obviously European roots lived for centuries. I mean, your family lives centuries in Africa. So how it has happened this way? And we also know that you're not just living there, but you play quite a prominent role in local political life, in Namibian political life. Moreover, you have been in politics since you were young, when you first became a member of SWAPO Party Youth League, SPIL. So please, let's talk about this first.
Well, Yuri, my ancestors, you can say, part of my ancestors from my mother's side, they came to South Africa in 1680, late 1690. So you can say 300 plus years ago.
350 to be precise. Yeah, quite a lot.
Precise. It's a lot of time. Yes. So many ancestors already in Africa. And of course, you know, we ran away from those ancestors ran away from the Catholic Church back in the day, the Protestants and the French Huguenots. That's why my name is Louis. I'm part of those guys that fled from France, fled from the Catholics to Southern Africa. And that is how I ended up in Africa. Although from my father's side, I'm very new European, actually. My grandmother is from Switzerland. So the one side is from Africa for a long time, and the other part is quite new from Europe. And I came into politics because in 1990, I was a 7-year-old boy, and the country was in a revolution. There were soldiers everywhere. There were flags everywhere. So my mother started getting involved into politics a little bit, my father a little bit. And the vibe on the street was just politics. There was a lot of politics going around. All the parties were campaigning to win the new independence for Namibia. T-shirts and flags everywhere. So I got involved into politics even before I joined SWAPO. I can say politically knowledgeable, knowing what's going on a little bit. So because of the revolution, and my parents, I joined SWAPO in 2004 because I grew up on a farm also. I'm very patriotic. I wake up in the morning sometimes, I look at the mountains, I look at the sun, and I feel very glad where I come from. And then I feel I need to do something extra for my country. So that is why I am in politics, to give you a short introduction. I've served on the SWAPO Party Youth League. That is the biggest structure for the main region, Khomas region. Currently, I'm still in SWAPO leadership as we are speaking. Yeah, and that's more or less it. I'm a patriot, and I'm in politics to help my country. I'm not a good public speaker. That's why actually I like to be more a diplomat than a politician. But for now, I'm a politician.
And we are very excited that you joined us today. So you are taking and trying new shoes for you, but it's good, new experience.
New experience.
The world is changing rapidly. New countries of multipolar world order are being shaped right before us, and the very essence of politics is being transformed with them. In this global mosaic, it is particularly interesting to consider regional accents. Namibia has recently become a kind of trendsetter. The elections held at the end of the last year were truly a landmark for the first time in the history of the country and Africa as a whole. 2 top government posts were occupied by a woman. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah became president, and Lucia Witbooi was appointed vice president. This is not just a significant political event, it is a civilizational shift, a phenomenon that reflects deeper changes in society, culture, and perception of power, both in Namibia and in Africa. What do you think, Louis, was the basis for such a shift? Why it is possible now?
Well, in Namibia, there are 2 reasons. The first reason people would think is probably because of the movement of women empowerment. That is one aspect. But for me personally, when it comes to working, I don't like to see either a male or female. For me, it's about merit, what you can do. And fortunately, Netumbo can also do. And that is a very good dynamic to have. I think it's less. Netumbo became president a little bit less because she's a woman, and this whole woman empowerment. It is more to do in Namibia because she is not seen as part of the aristocracy. The SWAPO party has, I would say, wandered a little bit to the wrong areas the last 10 years, or if we have been stagnant with the usual leadership, the usual, I can say, men that were at the head of SWAPO. So she is like a new broom coming in also, not just a woman. She represents more the traditional people, the poorer people in the village, the masses, you can say, in the country. Because Namibia is a very polarized country. We have very rich people, and then very small middle class, and then a lot of poor people. So Netumbo is the person which everyone looks up to now, to a little bit raise your average person, your masses of Namibia, to give them a bit more social and economic empowerment. So this has been coming since 2020 to 2025, even 2017. SWAPO has lingered, and honestly speaking, SWAPO since 2017 has shifted a little bit towards the West, if I can say it like that, in our policies. We were very neutral, but we shifted a little bit more towards the West. For example, we started doing a lot of deals with the European Union. We built the biggest United States embassy in Windhoek, in the smallest country in Africa, for some reason, because we have a lot of minerals. So we started drifting a little bit towards America and the West the last 10 years, while Netumbo is going back to our roots. She is going to be a little bit more neutral, and I would dare say I will push her a little bit to be more pro-Russian. I dare to say this, but I think she is. I can honestly say she is more prone to being pro-Russian than pro-Western. She studied in Russia and in the younger years as president. So that is basically where we are now. So Netumbo is having very good reviews, very good comments on social media. Everyone is giving her a chance, the men, the women included. Remember, in Namibia, even the tribe where she comes from, it's very difficult for a woman to come out on top. In the tribes where she comes from in Namibia, it's a very chauvinistic environment. The men are on top in the villages. They are on top when it comes to work. So this is a paradigm shift. But I would like to not to focus too much on the woman aspect, because if she succeeds or fails, it's not going to be because she's a woman. It's because she's a human being. And I trust her. I've known her now for about 7 years. I trust her very well. She's very wise, and she gives this image to the world of Mama Africa. She's very wise. She will make the wise decision. And currently she is doing that. So that's more or less what I can talk to you about Netumbo.
Right. You already touched the ground of bilateral cooperation between Russia and Namibia. We know that our country were friendly since the beginning. We share a lot of common in terms of history. We have common pages of history. Let me also highlight and stress one interesting news. Recently, Deputy Prime Minister of the Russian Federation, Yuri Trutnev, visited Windhoek during talks with the President of the Republic of Namibia, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, and the central topic of the meeting was the strengthening of bilateral trade and economic partnership between our countries. So both parties discussed the prospects to imply joint projects in many important sectors of industry: subsoil use and exploration, energy, agriculture, science and education. Special attention was paid to the peaceful uses of atomic energy. You probably know that Russian government state corporation Rosatom held consultations with the Namibian side on expanding cooperation in this area. So Namibia generally supports Russian initiatives in the international arena. This is also very nice to realize. It traditionally votes for resolutions proposed by the Russian Federation within the United Nations General Assembly, especially on cybersecurity, disarmament, or non-proliferation of the nuclear weapons, etc. Thus, wide range of potential areas for mutually beneficial cooperation are identified between Russia and Namibia, contributing a sustainable development and strengthening international partnership. But what areas do you think we could still cooperate beside the said above, and where do you see the greatest potential for joint development?
Well, except for the above is quite important. So maybe we can touch upon that a little bit later, because I would like to maybe talk about the possibility, because I'm a firm believer, I'm a bit of a science nut. So I am a firm believer that energy is the top point of any civilization. With energy, education and health and everything becomes easier if we can get cheap or even free energy. No, we'll never get free energy, but very cheap energy. Everything else will sort itself out. So to get to a question, what else is there except minerals and the obvious things like power? And of course, there's two big things. The first one I can touch upon is military. I'm a major in our NDF, in the Namibian Defense Force, in the Ministry of Defense. I am a soldier there. 90%, close to 90% of all our material, all our equipment, all our aircraft, all our transport troops, all our guns is from either old Soviet, Chinese now, or current Russian equipment. So clearly we must have, like India, very good relations on that front when it comes to defense and maintenance and security for our national defense forces. That is one side. But luckily Namibia is a very neutral country. We don't have any enemies. I don't see us being in a conflict in the next 1,000 years, or at least 50 or 100 years. I'm actually a proponent of making Namibia's military budget a little bit smaller. Let's become more friends with Russia. So if we need to fight, Russia can fight for us. Let us use our money to build schools. And then, Yuri, the other important one that I am personally focusing on, which is becoming an initiative of mine, is tourism. Like Anna said, she wants to visit Namibia. I
Yes,
want to make
it's my
it
dream.
easier for her to visit Namibia. So Netumbo, as you know, I don't know, she slapped visas on the Americans last week. The Americans now need visas to come to Namibia, like we need visas to go to USA. But Russians don't need visas to come to Namibia.
Really?
And I'm coming to Moscow maybe in a month. I don't need a visa to go to Moscow, which is nice.
Friends will be friends.
It's, and it's I understand the importance, the strategic importance of this, because it's actually more trust from Russia than from Namibia, to be honestly speaking. We are a third world country. The chances of third world people going to Russia and running around in the subway is a lot bigger than Russians coming to Namibia and running around in the bush illegally. So that was a very good gesture from both countries, but I would say even more from Russia's side, because Russia is taking bigger risk letting an African country have visa-free travel. So thank you very much for that, one, Russia. But to talk about my topic is tourism. I would like to make the procedures. We now have money problems because of the conflict with Ukraine. We have these sanctions, SWIFT. We need to sort out with the global south, with people like India and China. We need to sort out our payment, because we've been trapped now with the American system. Since I was a child with my parents, we've been using Visa and MasterCard. Whether you want to go to another African country, you want to go anywhere in the world, that's what you use. Now I am in a problem. I need to go to Russia in a month's time. My visas will not work. I need to think about putting cash here and things like that. So, and even flights, getting the right airplanes and the flights to come to Namibia. I want a direct flight from St. Petersburg, SPB, or Moscow directly to Windhoek at least once a week, so that we can promote tourism. And I want Namibia to be at least a few percent more hospitable towards Russians in the current world environment, where it seems it can be seen that some of the Russians feel ostracized by the rest of the world. You can say some countries are not empathetic towards the Russian cause. In Namibia, we do not want the Russians to have that vibe. You can sit on a car here, go to a lodge, walk in the city, and you will have more friends than people looking at you like, yo, you're a Russian. So we want it to be a friendly Russian place. We want to make the systems and procedures friendly. Me personally, I would want to see the sauces flay, the oldest dunes in the world. I want those things in the Russian subway, in the Russian metro, for people to think about having a holiday in Namibia. And not just middle-class people, also rich people, the oligarchs, the rich guys of Moscow. They can come hunt here, they can come buy lodges. So we want to be open for investment and tourism towards the Russians. That's about it. Does that answer your question, Yuri?
And let's continue. Russia and Namibia are linked not only by pragmatic cooperation, but also by historical friendship based on mutual support during key periods. During the years of Namibia's struggle for independence, the Soviet Union provided it with complex assistance, from staff training to military and humanitarian support. This memory is still alive in the public mind, forming a stable trust in Russia as a reliable partner. Unlike Western countries, whose approaches based on imposing their own models and conditions, Russia sticks to the principle of non-interference into the home affairs and the dialogue on a equal and respectful basis. For many Namibians, this is not just a political position, but a reflection of cultural proximity, respect for sovereignty, and historical experience. In addition, they see Russian initiatives in R&D, energy, education as a way for real development rather than as a tool of external control. Why do you think Namibia feels this close to Russia and considers our country a more reliable partner than, for instance, the United States or China?
Well, off the top of my head, I know the real reason. There are many reasons. We can talk about the financial reasons, the historical reasons. Of course, we have more history with Russia. Namibia would not be here if there was no Moscow. There would be no Namibia, 100%, first of all. But I think this comes from a place of ideology. We Namibians are conservative. We are Christians. 90% of the country are Christians. We are a little bit today anti this woke LGBTQ culture. So we associate with people that think like us. And at the moment, 3/4 of the world, especially south of the equator, are thinking the same way about many of these topics. So I would say first and foremost, before we get to the history and the financial reasons why we could be better friends with Russia than with America, at the moment, if we had no history and there was no money to be made between countries, we will still go with Russia because they fit our vision of a conservative nation much more than the stuff that's going on in Europe and in other more liberal countries. Yeah, and Namibia is always lucky. We survive because we are lucky in Namibia many times. We mismanage, but we are lucky. So if we have a population of 2.5 million, 2.7 million, that is very small for a country the size of Texas. So if we have a water problem, it's 50,000 people. Other countries will laugh at our problems. So our problems are easily fixable, our problems. And when it comes to our history with Russia, of course, there is a little bit of a divide between cultures in Namibia. Let's say between tribes and also between races. But in Namibia, that is very much less an issue. There is more racism in America and in South Africa. Us Namibians, we are the neighbors of South Africa, but we laugh at South Africa like, what are you guys doing with the racism and stuff? So in Namibia, again, we are lucky because in the Boer War, we had Russians helping the white Boer against the English. When it came to the revolutionary struggle, we had the Soviets and Russians helping us with the liberation struggle only 35 years ago. So in our history, whether it is white or black, we have the Russians helping us in some form. So I think, I don't know how to expand on your answer anymore, but when it comes to current things, look, when it comes to, for example, Rosatom, because we have this history, political history, I feel it will be easier to engage in business also. For example, if we want to build a power plant, we have Canada, we have France, we have China, and then Russia to go to ask those. There are 2 or 3 others to ask, can we start talking about nuclear power plants or nuclear power? Those other guys will be purely like business. It will be like me going to the bank. How much is the house? You will pay so much for the house. Thank you, goodbye. You will be in trouble if you don't pay. While with Russia, already they will say, my friend, you have 5% discount because of our history. You have 5% discount because you are part of our vision for the future of the world. Maybe you will join BRICS. Maybe you will follow a little bit in the steps of the global south, which Russia is trying to spearhead with the rest of, let's say, India and China. So basically, what I'm trying to say is Russia is looking towards, and we will be the focus point for many African countries, including Namibia. And if it is up to me, we will definitely be following the new element in global politics, where there is no longer one policeman on this planet, but we have 3, 4: Russia, China, India, America, so forth, where there's a more multipolar world and not just one Rambo running around controlling the whole planet.
Louis, you just have said that all the time during your history, the history of your country and your people, Russia was somewhere behind, assisting and helping. But let me also stress and highlight that you personally also was on the side of Russia during the difficult times. Let's remember that 3 years ago, when there was a cancel Russian culture and cancel Russia in general, inspired by the West due to the conflict in Ukraine, So there was attempts also to conduct anti-Russian performances in Namibia, especially in Windhoek, and you were one of these friends of Russia who, did all the best in order to avoid, these scenarios and use your influence to not allow pro-Ukrainian and pro-American forces to bring this, let's say, performance to Namibia. So thank you very much, and we also have a video of these times. We will present it right now, so you could comment, maybe put a few remarks, because you were the witness of it, and we remember that...
I remember I was almost arrested.
You almost arrested, but I also remember that you were spreading information materials about the Azov battalion and all these Nazi regiments supporting the Kiev regime, so you were trying to tell people the truth in order to avoid them to participate in the, not just an anti-Russian event, but, anti-human event, because if you support Nazi elements, it means that you are fighting against the humankind itself. So you were trying to tell the truth.
And let me say, please, Louis, you are our hero, and we are proud to communicate with you, really. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. It comes easy. Yes.
A few remarks from you about these events.
Well, okay, I remember, the thing is, I took this conflict very seriously when it started. The rest of the world and people thought, oh, okay, it's just another country attacking a small piece of another country. It's just an argument. Maybe it will over in 3 months or 6 months. I already saw this is the fight. This fight can result in much bigger things. It can first of all become a proxy war between big power, the West, aka in America and Russia. It can become a playground for those two to play. Then I realized it's a conflict of ideals. It's the whole cultural shift that's happening, the whole LGBTQ drive. Remember, I'm not against gay people. I'm just not for 3% of the population telling 97% of the population what to do, what to say, how to talk, and how to dress. That it must be like it has been for 50,000 years. I won't throw stones at you. Just do your thing there. I will leave you alone. But basically, Yuri, apologies, I forgot your question. We need to retake this.
So the question was, okay, once again, Louis, could you please comment the events that took place 3 years ago when you were trying to avoid of involvement of your people into the anti-Russian and anti-human performances related to this Nazi, to support Nazi regiments and the Nazi ideology in Ukraine?
Yes, okay. Now I know where I was. The reason I did that, Yuri, is because I knew this conflict is bigger than just a regional conflict. I knew it might become and spiral into a head-to-head regarding ideals and even civilizations. And that is what it has become. And it quickly became like that. It was no longer, the whole world was now supporting either Ukraine or Russia. So I realized that for the world to change, for a multipolar world to arise from the stagnation, from the status quo we've been having since 1950s of America being basically the boss of most of the planet, for this to change, this is a catalyst. I saw the Ukrainian-Russia conflict as a catalyst for all of these things to come up and then be solved and explode in Third World War or in a bigger conflict. But now is that it was the catalyst for things now to get solved. We either fight now or we talk, or things start happening. That's why I took it so seriously upon myself to make sure that these riots or demonstrations that happen in Windhoek don't reach many other people. And honestly speaking, there were like 30 people, of which 27 were Germans, 1 Polish guy and 2 Ukrainians. So I organized that they do not have this demonstration. They wanted to have the demonstration, in fact, in front of the Russian embassy. Luckily, our country they almost succeeded, but no one checked the rules. Our country does not allow you to demonstrate against another country in front of their embassy, because that's just weak taste. So I organized, made some phone calls. They had to hold their rally in another place. So it was very late. Few people showed up. And then, of course, I was running around putting posters in people's cars and in people's hands. They were saying thank you until they read what I gave them. And then the police came and said, Louis, stop harassing our Ukrainian comrades, please. And I'm like, okay, I will go. And then I just run around the corner and I come back and I do it again. So almost arrested that day, but I think I did my job quite well.
You did your job quite well, and I've seen these posters. Yeah, it was impressive. So there was a QR code. If you follow this QR code, you'll get information about the true plot and the true history of the people these demonstrators came to support. So if they go through, they would understand that obviously this is not their heroes they came to support.
It's fantastic. Events taking place in Ukraine and in Africa, in South Africa, in Namibia. You have protests, meetings.
It affects Africa as well. Yeah,
it's great. So, Louis, it's clear for a lot of people all over the world that the new epoch begins now. What do you think? What it will be? What world it can be? How can you describe it to your mind?
In my mind, we still need to be, every country and every, I would say even culture needs to preserve their culture. As Russians need to preserve their culture, my culture needs to preserve their culture. But there's no reason we cannot work together proudly next to each other. And I feel that your president, His Excellency Vladimir Putin, by coincidence, he is now in the position where he is the spearhead for many voices on the planet, for many countries and for many people. He is becoming the voice of reason and the voice to change the status quo on the planet. Because we do realize that because of heritage, because of how things happened in history, some people are behind. Even some deservedly so. But I see the rise of a global south. I see a BRICS plus, where Namibia is even a small partner, where we can be utilized for our mineral wealth, while we can utilize Russia for their expertise on academic level, utilize Russians for their nuclear expertise, military expertise, science basically, to get Africa to jumpstart Africa. For Africa to take 3 steps forward in the next 10 or 15 years. I see the world changing a little bit, where there's an equal share of profit and consumption. Because let's face it, at the moment, the West is benefiting a little bit from, let's say, what happened yesterday in the history of the human race, which is fair, but the time has come for the rest of the world to rise a little bit, also to make their voices be heard. And I feel that Russia is the champion for the rest of us. For us, so India, China, Namibia, okay, so basically half of South America, 3/4 of Africa, half of Asia will stand behind Russia to make the balance of the scales go like this.
And the last question for today from Yuri.
We have already discussed a lot of interesting things from history to current times, even touched the conflict in Ukraine. Louis, I can also, and I need also to ask you the final question. It will sound like that. How you personally see your own role as Namibian politician in to bring impulse to Russian-Namibian relations? How do you see your personal role in order to make our countries to become closer to each other? What can you do, and what you want to do?
Wow, that question is very, very broad, but let me try to answer it. Well, first of all, the personal connection I'm having regarding myself, my family and Russia, my friends, the ideological similarities I have with Russia. Our peoples have a huge, like I already informed you, have a huge conservative aspect to them. We are Christians, anti-woke. So our cultures, I think, especially certain parts of our culture. But in general, our cultures can coexist mutually and respectfully next to each other. Yuri, I'm a guy that watches a lot of Star Trek. So if you ask me that question, I want us to end up in space mining asteroids together. That is probably the end result of this. But I mean, if we're not talking about tourism, getting back to nuclear power, we have the uranium. We have the gas. We just don't have the expertise. That's why myself, I want to create a very good friendship that can last forever, or at least a few hundred years with Russia, so that Russia can help us, Namibia, get not as a peer, because we will never be a peer due to population, but at least be on a technological and civilization level equal to Russia, and on a personal income level of your personal person. I mean, Yuri, this is a very difficult question for me actually to
We don't have easy questions, Louis. Sorry.
to comprehend. But I mean, you as a friend, you know, you relate a lot to Namibians because of our culture, because of the way we think, our mannerisms. We like to call ourselves real men. We don't care if we bleed, and we like to drink a beer now and again. And that is the world in which I would love to live, where my children are safe. They can do whichever religion they want to, but preferably Christian. But it's up to them. But they must have certain freedoms. And at the moment, the West. Look, I am from the West. My name is Louis van der Merwe. Louis is from northern France, and van der Merwe is from Belgium, Netherlands. So I'm actually from Den Haag area. I'm from the spot where all the, I would say, nonsense ideas are coming from, and it's basically my ancestors' children that are misbehaving in Europe. So basically, I'm feeling Russia needs to give us a wake up call for the rest of Europe to, like, guys, we are now a better Europe than you guys ever were. What are you guys doing? So, I mean, yeah. And you guys, we look up to you now. You got the good metro now. You got one of the best metros, subways in the world. St. Petersburg is, if not the most beautiful city on the planet now. I think Paris is number 1001 beautiful city on the planet now. St. Petersburg is probably number 1 or number 3. So, and diplomats, if you look at your diplomats, if you look at Putin, if you look at Lavrov, these are old diplomats that can still talk. They are still professional. They're not like Boris Johnson taking off his T-shirt and laughing and doing stupid things. So the respect, the old way of being a proper, respectful diplomat, it's Russia on the forefront doing all these awesome things. So you have a lot of pressure on you as Russians. Maybe a lot of the world sees you now as very high while you are just there. So you need to look better than you are for the rest of us, please.
We will try to do our best. Thank you, Louis.
Okay.
Louis, thank you very, very much for this very interesting conversation, and thank you very much for our very, very good mood.
Thank
You made
Anna.
our day.
Yes.
When I come to Russia, guys, just one thing. If I come to Russia in 1 month, Yuri, you will give me a coffee with Anna?
Of course, we are waiting for you, Louis.
I will have to complete my promise, as I did a few years ago. So I will do it.
Please come as soon as possible.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Louis. Dank je.
Okay,
En tot
Yuri.
ziens.
Good. Okay, bye.
Zvezda Holding presents Dynamic Spectrum Talks. Now.